Why should people get married?
Marriage is designed to change you.
Okay.
So you will change. It's inevitable. So a lot of stats show that couples who actually live together long enough before they get married have a higher chance of divorcing after they get married. I've been married for 11 years. When we got married earlier on, the first few years, sex was all about frequency, right? Now, the frequency has decreased, but the quality has increased. I would not dare sit here think that I would ruin the quality of sexual intimacy I have with my wife just so that I can go sleep with somebody for 2 seconds.
As far as the North Pole is from the South, we are bridging the knowledge gap from centuries past. We inspire you to find your true north. From Timbuktu to Alexandria, from the city of Johannesburg to New York, from the Zulus to the Dogon people, we are disrupting the knowledge economy. We are Sir Max Network.
The fastest way to create and to manifest new energy in your life is actually to let go of the old things in your life. Ladies and gentlemen, you have to release the old things so that we can make space for new energy, new people, new experiences, and new environment in your life. Now, what is more important is to realize that what holds people back is actually the fear to let go of what they have, even though when it's no longer serving them. But here's the thing. You cannot ask for something new and yet expect to stay the same. You have to clear the clutter in your life so that you make way for a window, a flow of new blessings and new things in your life. Today, it's such a great honor and a great privilege that I sit with Blaque Nubon.
Yeah.
I've been rehearsing this name for some time. Blaque Nubon is the host of an amazing podcast, That Husband, but he's a creative storyteller and a speaker. Welcome to the show, brother.
Thanks, brother. Truly appreciate it, man.
It's a great honor to be having you. How are you feeling?
Today, refreshed.
Yeah,
energized, man. I've been looking for a break for a long time. And so, in fact, this week, me and my family are on holiday.
Yeah, wow.
So we relaxed, yeah.
Yeah.
We feel very refreshed, man. Yeah.
Amazing. We have called you here on the platform to talk about your work.
Yeah.
That you are starting, but also to ask questions.
Sure.
About the work that you are doing. A very interesting initiative.
Sure.
That Husband. What is it about?
Well, That Husband is meant to champion husbandhood. I think we live in a country and a culture and a time where the value of husbandhood is not seen. So being a husband is actually devalued. A lot of young men are not seeing the point in why they should get married. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One, they haven't seen any good role models in their lives, husbands who've actually remained faithful to the call of being a husband, who've held it with the level of responsibility that is required, and have done so in front of them, not perfectly so, but faithfully. They haven't seen that, or if they have, they've seen very bad models of husbands. And so guys like me who are married, who wear the jersey of marriage, I think we haven't represented our team very well. And so we wanna champion husbands, and because I think husbands occupy a role in society that's very unique compared to any other leadership role that we have.
Yeah.
Husbands need to be on 24/7. I could be a CEO at work, but even in my capacity as a CEO, I don't switch off my being a husband. When I get in my car, I'm switched on as a husband. When I get out of my car, getting into my house, I'm still switched on as a husband. And all of me needs to be switched on, So I think we have an insight into leadership that other men don't have.
Yeah.
And so we need to champion more husbands. Yeah.
That sounds like a yoke. That sounds like a duty.
Sure.
That sounds like, a cross.
Yeah.
It sounds, I don't know, but it sounds like something that not everyone would want to be. Like, it's like heavy, a burden.
Sure. It is. It is a serious yoke. that you need to wear very responsibly. So once you decide to be a husband, you are deciding to add on to the fabric of creating a society. So the very fundamental building block of any society is families, and at the head of those families are husbands. And so once I take on that yoke, once I take on that burden, I'm essentially saying to myself, to my family, and my society that I am taking on the role of adding on another building block to whatever community I'm part of, and that community should be healthy enough to be a building block to the country that we're in. And so I say that there's a lot of we have a lot of things that are going awry in our country. Education is at its ultimate low. Gender-based violence is at its ultimate high. Unemployment is at its ultimate high. And we can see all these fractures, and there's a lot of other people who are doing things to help with that. But I think for me, where the attention is not focused on is the family. And so if we focus on the family, I think the family will be able to redress some of these issues that we're experiencing in our country.
Yeah. But it sounds ugly, Blaque Nubon. No, that's the way you're saying it.
Yeah.
It sounds ugly, to be honest. And now I'm thinking, which man, which boy, and I'm driving somewhere, I'm going somewhere. I'm not demeaning, we're going to talk about marriage, we're going to talk about family, but it sounds ugly.
Yeah.
Because, and please correct me, you are a pastor, you do a lot of work in this space. The reason I'm saying it sounds ugly is that it looks like you stop being a man and now you become a husband. What are your views on that?
Yeah, you actually become more of a man when you become a husband. It would sound ugly to a generation or a culture of men who've lost sight of what being a true man is. So if we're going to be men, men need to take on responsibility to build. Men need to stand in the forefront, especially when there's crisis. We currently in a war, and that war is hitting us from all angles. We're in a spiritual war. We're in a financial war. We clearly in a societal war because of the family structure that's falling apart. And so if men are not going to rise up, and men are not going to assume their position to be the ones who are actually, tackling this darkness head on. If we're gonna, even if we contextualize this, if we're going to push back against some of the injustices that have happened to us, particularly in the Black community, when you think about the history of this country and what apartheid was, apartheid perpetuated as long as it did because you had fathers who were husbands who were teaching this ideology around the dinner table. So kids did not just wake up and imbibe apartheid only at school. Their fathers around the dinner table who were present were giving them this ideology. And so then they went and lived it out in public. And so if we're going to push back against that darkness that permeates throughout our country, we need fathers, we need husbands who will assume their position around the dinner table. Can this country change from parliament? Sure. But I think it's going to change primarily around the dinner table first. So it is, it could be ugly work, but it's necessary work.
But why does one need to be a husband in order to be a good man? Why does one need to be a husband in order to be a father? You can be a father without being a husband. You can be a good man. You don't need to qualify as a husband to be a good man.
Yeah, sure. That's true. And there's many men who are good fathers. There's many men who are good men without being husbands. Again, the role of being a husband elevates your leadership. It does. Because you taking on responsibility compared to a father who's not responsible for the baby mother. They're responsible for the child, and they can be a good father and look after that child. That's one component of what makes up a family. But if I'm a husband, I'm responsible not only for my kids, but I'm responsible primarily for their mother. And the most challenging thing, in fact, in my role is going to be how I love my children's mother publicly in front of them. affectionately so, in age appropriate ways, because that's going to mold my children far better than anything else, be it education, be what they see on the internet, be what they hear on the streets. When they see me loving their mother affectionately in front of them, age appropriately, that's going to mold them in ways that is actually going to produce citizens that are well to do in this country. Some of us struggle. I come from a broken home. Some of us struggle in showing up fully as we are because they weren't in a too loving parent home that molded us in ways that gave advantage to those kids who came from those kind of environments and situations. You know?
Yeah.
So again, if we're gonna redress some of these things, husbands, I would say be at home, man. You gain a level of leadership that's totally different from a father who's not married or a man who's not a father and a husband.
Let's talk about marriage, because the term or the description husband comes from marriage.
Sure.
I don't know. What are you? Do we need marriage in order to build families? My view, and please, I'm saying this with the highest respect, open-mindedness, to say we don't need. I think it's a mistake probably that we made. I don't know, in my view, but you'll help me. That we have put marriage above family, whereas I feel family then marriage. What are your thoughts?
So somebody would say, you know, in light of that, what came first, the chicken or the egg? And then we'd be caught up in the endless cycle of never figuring out what came first, the chicken or the egg. But I think in this case, it won't be that situation. I don't think families just come out of thin air. Families have to come from a couple, a unit that's together, that have decided we're going to come together, want to love each other. But secondly, the other reason why we're together is to procreate, so that we can build a family. And a family needs partnership, needs two people to lead this thing, to start a vision for this thing. So babies are not just going to pop out of thin air. They need a father, they need a mother to come together and form that baby. So I think just if it biologically, that says that, again, it's not even a matter of value. We cannot value marriage above family, but it's a matter of hierarchy. It's a matter of order, you know. So the family begins with the marriage.
You spoke about how fragmented our society is, which I agree 100% with you, that we cannot build families that hold anymore. But when we take back to the ancient times, in fact, even before family, it was communes. You know, our ancestors lived in communes. You know, they built a community before we even went to the family. But when marriage comes, it means now we are arguing that the ideals of a family cannot be achieved without marriage. Is it not the problem that we are in this situation now, that we have neglected that communal, that family, and now we have reduced it now even to marriage? But also, marriage is a problem on its own, the understanding.
Yes.
Because we argue it from different angles, and it's a social construct. And every society has got its own construct of what they deem to be marriage.
Yeah. So again, I would say, we cannot value the one over the other. They're both necessary. But no community just happens without smaller nuclear families. I think a community is formed by people who collectively come together and they agree on certain values, certain principles that will govern who they are. That's why certain communities don't affiliate with other communities, because at the core, what makes us who we are fundamentally is different. And so I think you'd have to find a band of families who will come and unite together to formulate that, you know. So when you think of the Zulu clan or the Zulu nation, So it was made up of different smaller nations, and those smaller nations were made up of different kinds of families where fathers were heads of households. Mothers had responsibilities, children had responsibilities. So there were clearly defined roles, and those roles that make up that nuclear family would then inform how they affiliate with another nuclear family to then create this community. So that community then will meet other communities, and then they will form a nation together.
Yeah.
And so I do think, if I would push back, I would say that marriage is fundamental, and it has to begin there in order for the family to be born from that unit. Otherwise, where do families begin?
Families are proven. Research is saying families are more. In fact, marriages are failing.
Sure.
But families are staying.
Sure.
So
what kind of families then, I would ask? Because again,
Yeah.
we'll have a nuclear family. We could have an extended family. We could have a larger family. And so there isn't one kind
And that's
of
a beautiful thing
Yes.
about family
Yes.
idea.
Sure.
That we cannot limit it to some small isolation.
Yeah.
We know as a father, which I am, people ask you how many kids you have. I say I've got so many kids
Yeah.
that I take care of. But when I say so many kids, I'm not just talking, biological
Yes,
kids
hundreds.
that come from.
Yes.
It's a beautiful idea for family.
Yes.
When I walk there, you hold as a man, as a father, you hold, you understand.
Yeah.
So the beauty about family is that we cannot reduce it to just a family. Marriage will come from the family. Marriage came from a family. And I'll make an example with the Indian communities, where you find within a house there are actually 5 families. Okay, 5 marriages, if you like.
Yes.
The son, grandfather, and all that. But at the heart of it, it's family. So, but my question is, why do we want to put marriage over family? Isn't it marriage supposed to be the byproduct of family?
It can't be. That's what I'm saying. It can't be, because this family has to have an inception. It has to have a beginning. And so the beginning of family cannot be family itself. So family cannot exist in and of itself. It has to start from somewhere. And then this family grows because you, the son of this family, who decides to go marry somebody else. And so then you starting another nuclear family that's going to extend this larger family, So the matriarch or the patriarch came together. That was a couple. They married and then started this larger family. They had kids, who then those kids from this family that was started by this couple then go and replicate that same formula. They go find other partners, and then they start their own nuclear family. But when we zoom out, we can see this larger family. But at the core, we'll see a matriarch, we'll see a patriarch, we'll see the father who started this with the mother who started this, and then the kids kind of replicate the same behavior in starting smaller nuclear families, and then we bring that together. And I totally agree with you that within a larger family, we can have people who are social fathers. You don't have to necessarily be a biological father. You can be an older brother that looks after other children that are part of this family. You can be an uncle. You can be a man who's married, and you're not blessed with your own biological kids, but you have the ability of looking after other children. So I think that's that. But I would say logically, you have to start with the marriage.
Why should people get married? And let me give context to that.
Sure.
I've got a woman, love her so much.
Yeah.
We are blessed with kids.
Sure.
I'm a leader taking care of. Why? Why should we get married in that sense? And I'm not sure from which point, because we can talk about marriage from different aspects.
Yes.
One aspect could be from a government point of view.
Yes.
To say, you go to Home Affairs, you sign, that could be one angle. Yeah. The second angle could be from a spiritual point of view, where as a pastor, we go, we get blessed, traditionally.
Yep.
So I understand, but I'm saying, if I'm in this and we're so much in love with this woman, we are blessed.
Yep.
Isn't that enough? Why should I get married?
Yeah. So I'm glad you brought up all those aspects, because that's where I'm going. Marriage has boundaries compared to any other relationship. Marriage restricts us compared to any other relationship. I am not smart enough to think that I'll be arrogant enough that I could control my own heart. I know that my heart would want what it wants at some point. I know that I'm a human and I have proclivities. I have affections. I have things in me that within my own strength, I cannot govern. So I know that sitting here, I'm faithful to one woman and I'm raising a family with her, but everything else in me could decide as I walk down the road, man, there's another pretty woman. I could go to her, start something with her or whatever the case is, right? So I know that, you know, it would want, the heart would want what it wants.
Yeah.
And so, because the heart is more deceptive than anything else, then the heart needs to be restricted. And so marriage restricts that.
Does it?
Marriage is restricted by God. Marriage is restricted by culture and family. Marriage is restricted at a civil level. And so if I cross over the threshold of marriage, then I know I'm in this relationship and the door is closed. We put a wall. So because I could be restricted, and that restriction is actually good for me, and it's good for the family that needs to be built from this marriage. It's good for the society that needs to come from this family that's going to be built from this marriage. So a lot of stats show that couples who actually live together long enough before they get married have a higher chance of divorcing after they get married. So if you live with somebody, in fact, I've even had this with couples I've counseled who've lived together for 8 years. They get married and 8 months or less, they divorced.
Because they've destroyed a beautiful thing.
Sure.
They had a beautiful thing and now they brought an ugly thing which collapsed such a beautiful thing.
It's because before that, again, the door is open. So if you decide, man, this is too hard for me, you can leave.
Yeah.
Who defines what love is at that point? Who defines what commitment really looks like? The standard of that is between you two. But once I cross the invisible threshold of marriage, the standard of what commitment is, what longevity is, what love is not defined by our own hearts. And so I would not presume to be arrogant enough to say that my heart is the sole standard for defining what love is. But instead, I need other things outside of me to define what that is.
All right. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
As a husband.
Sure.
Does marriage stop people from going out? That's
it doesn't.
one question. It doesn't. That's my point.
Yeah.
To say, if I'm a man, and you spoke about real men.
Sure.
I don't need government for me to restrain myself from a partner.
Sure.
Because from within, the heart must be purified before the fire is intensified.
Yes.
So I don't need government. I don't need, even spirituality, the church.
Yeah.
It cannot restrain you when from within as a man, you are not committed in that particular relationship. And probably that's why there's so much divorces. Studies are showing us that 59% of marriages end up in divorce.
Yeah.
So I'm saying to you, brother to brother, why do we need marriage to restrain us as people?
Yep.
Because it's human. It sounds like it's human nature to say, I'll be with one woman. I'll be with this one man for forever.
So I would also say to add a caveat to that, the most manliest thing a man could do is submit himself to another man. And so for me, in my case, I submit myself to Jesus, and Jesus is the one who dictates what my life is supposed to look like, who I'm supposed to be with, how marriage is supposed to be defined, what love is, etc., etc. Because I know in and of myself, I want to do whatever. I want to be the king of my castle. I want to set the agenda for my own life. And I would even say within a man's life, you need to have other voices that you would surrender to. Primarily, if you believe in God, I think surrender to God. Yeah. But even outside of that, find other older men. Again, unless you be arrogant enough to think that your ideas are the only, you could be the loudest voice in the room, but that your ideas are actually the only ideas that would matter. Right? That there aren't any people who are smarter than you, better than you, more moral than you. If you would assume that, I think you're in a disaster as a man. I think as a man, you need to realize your limitations, So think of a guitar or even this microphone. It's close to us. This microphone has limitations. This microphone cannot be placed underwater. Yeah. And so once we know its limitations, then we can fully use it for what it was actually designed for. And so as a man, I need to know what my limitations are so that I can show up fully as what I was designed for. And so I need older men in my life. You could even ask my wife and my friends now. I have men in my life that if I now shift and go a different way than what I've intended to be and the kind of husband I've become, those guys just need to call. And I know that they'll restrain my heart. I know that they will call me back to order. So I think the first thing is a man needs to submit himself to other men, to other voices. And therefore, with that kind of frame of that framework in mind, then you could willingly submit yourself to all the other restricting elements that marriage bring. You know?
So basically, marriage is just to restrict and to restrain yourself.
That's one thing.
Yeah.
But it's within that restriction that you then flourish and become what you intended to be. So let me use an example again. You know, I play with my kid at the park. You see, the park has a fence, right? And the fence might seem limiting to those who are outside the park, but they don't understand that what that fence gives me is freedom to sit in the park, to let my kid run everywhere so that she can fully enjoy all that the park brings. So that limitation is actually not to suppress her freedoms, but it actually accentuates the freedoms that are within the park. And marriage does that. Yeah. It accentuates the freedoms that I can get sexually. You know, I've been married for 11 years. When we got married earlier on, the first few years, sex was all about frequency. Right? Now, the frequency has decreased, but the quality has increased. I would not dare sit here think that I would ruin the quality of sexual intimacy I have with my wife just so that I can go sleep with somebody for 2 seconds. I would never do that because of the quality that I've experienced now. Marriage has limited me. Yeah, from having sex with other people so that I can experience fully the joy of that. Yeah.
You acknowledge that human nature would not want to be tied, especially by laws, by government, unless it comes from the heart. I know people, I've seen people who are highly committed in their relationships, but without bringing the government, without bringing, because these are people who are highly committed. They know why they're there. Yeah. So, but my question is, are you saying human beings in their nature are not monogamous? Are we enforcing monogamy on human beings, that we need to put systems that can... And funny enough, Blaque Nubon, they are breaking these boundaries. You know, I mean, as a pastor, as a counsel, you know, even within this church, it's worse.
Sure.
So I'm just asking to say, are we acknowledging that we are not monogamous?
Yeah,
as human beings.
I would argue we are
monogamous.
Yeah, we are.
But why is it difficult for us to stay?
So you've been pressing on this. You know, from a Judeo-Christian perspective, we are sinful people, and sin in its essence is saying, I want to set the agenda for my life. You know, so sin loosely could be defined, you know, as cheating, as stealing, etc., etc. Those are just symptoms of an underlying issue. Our souls are born with a wrinkle on them. And that wrinkle is what causes us to act against our actual design and how we were meant to be. And so sin would be a force or something that says, as you sit across the table, you see how I am. I'm not fully who I was meant to be, because this thing has bent me. This thing has corrupted me. This thing has caused me to show up in ways that were never part of my design. And so we need other restricting forces to help me realize my actual design. Again, back to that thing of the park. I was designed to have ultimate, satisfying sexual intimacy with someone. But because of this ugly thing called sin, I'm then now bent in ways that I want to go explore everyone else and miss out on the sexual intimacy that I would experience if I would dedicate and surrender myself to one person for the rest of my life. And so now we need other things to restrict me, because my sin would force my heart to say that we want what we want. Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Say we get married, ne?
Sure.
I get married with my wife.
Yeah.
After some time, she no longer feels the same about me.
Yes.
I no longer feel the same about her.
Yes.
What happened in that state?
Yeah. That's a fair question, and we should actually ask where did that start? And that's where we should probably nip the thing in the bud. So the word love is a verb, right? The word love means that I need to constantly wake up and do an action. And part of that action is choosing to care for this one person. And so at some point, couples stop choosing each other. They choose themselves over their spouse. Again, marriage has the language of and the posture of surrender. Once I say I do to my wife, I am essentially saying I am choosing her over my desires, over myself. And that sounds limiting. That sounds like a prison. But again, I'm saying the thing that you could do for yourself to actualize your humanity and flourish and become the kind of human that you were designed to be is not to put yourself at the center, but it's to put others at the center.
I get that, brother. But I'm saying after 5 years, you no longer.
Where did it start?
No. You know, and you just said it. Yeah. The man you were 5 years, you are evolving.
Yes.
As a man.
Yes.
As a human, let me not say as a man. As a human, you are evolving. But you stop feeling the way you felt. And which I think is one aspect that is dangerous that we dismiss in marriage. We dismiss the feeling. And we say, no, there's something wrong that you did. That's why you feel. It's a human evolution to say. That's why we've got people who are stuck in marriages and they're not happy. But they go to a pastor. The pastor says, no, work on it. Work on it. It's done. They have fulfilled a purpose for which they met. And it does not mean they're bad people.
No, 100.
You understand? I was faithful in this period, because we were meant to achieve this, we did. Now it's over this thing. It's fulfilled. I don't know if you understand, because
I understand what you're saying.
Forcing to stay here.
Whether I agree with it or not, another.
So I'm arguing from that point to say it has been fulfilled. We're given 10 years. Because now I start to become something else.
So here's what I also say, the fundamental thing that you find in marriage. Marriage is designed to change you. So you will change. It's inevitable that you should change.
I agree 100%.
Marriage is designed for that. It's restricting because again, it's trying to help you flourish and become the person that you were intended to be. And the person you were intended to be cannot be the same person you were 5 years ago.
True.
So marriage by design is going to force you to change. And so what tends to happen is that within that change, we then miss each other and then focus on self, as opposed to realizing that I'm a tool to help my wife become the person that she was intended to be and vice versa. And so that part of that evolution is us constantly choosing each other and pausing. So after a year, you pause and say, hey, I've realized that you've changed. Hey man, let's see what positive changes are there. Let's see what negative changes are there. You know, the people that we said we're going to become in 50 years time, are we achieving that? Are we going this deal? If we're not, let's sit back and recalibrate, because again, we're not planning on leaving. We're planning on being together till we get to the point where we are the humans that we intended to be.
But here's a problem, brother. I feel constantly, and I get the idea of choosing the other person. I mean, like you said, love, it's a verb. You know, when you love someone, you are definitely going to give yourself to them. But a lot of people lose themselves within the institution of marriage because they are told, no, focus on this. But this person is crying inside to say, but I've lost myself. How do I focus on their partner when I have lost myself? Okay, how about I put it this way to you? That maybe marriage should have a contract, 5 years. And after 5 years, and maybe it's there, it's just that there's no room to exit if you want to. After 5 years, we sit down with your partner. Baby, my queen, how have these 5 years been? Of course, it was not perfect, but babe, are you willing to go again? But for those who say, hey, that was enough, I want to pull, they should be allowed to, you know. And here's the thing, Blaque Nubon, I don't think the idea of divorce is an ugly word. You are a pastor, must be careful. The idea of pulling out, I don't think it's a bad idea, to be honest, under the circumstances. But when you say you're going to be here for the rest of your life, you can, but you must want to.
So let's be fair. We'll never, ever put those same restrictions on any other relationship. You should be allowed to do that as a father after 5 years.
Yeah.
We would burn this place if a man would say, as a father, I should be allowed after 5 years to look at my kids in the eyes and say, yeah, I think this thing is not working for me.
To their father.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
No. It's a permanent. No, that's a permanent.
Why?
You bring children. No. It's like
We'll
it's like-
never put
it's
those
like-
restrictions on fatherhood and motherhood.
100%. Because it's a natural progression of life. But marriage is a social construct.
No, it isn't.
No, it is.
And
it's
yet,
a social construct.
and yet there's fathers who leave.
No, those ones are horrible people. I mean, as a father, remember the gift of a father and a mother, brother.
Yeah.
It doesn't come with choice.
Sure.
It does not come with
It
once
did.
you bring.
You saw somebody, you chose them, and you asked to lay with them, and you impregnated them.
Yes.
By choice.
Of course.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying, when you bring an offspring
Yeah.
from there, it's you. They are yours. That is why even biologically, it's you. It's a transference of you. It's a that's why people can heal from relationships, but you can't heal from your own blood.
Yeah, no, you can. There's men who are living in South Africa.
No. We don't want those men. And I'm supporting that call. We don't want those men because as a father, and I agree to call him, but marriage is a social construct.
7 out of 10 boys in South Africa grow up with their fathers.
And you know why?
And where are those fathers?
And you know, part of the problem is marriage.
Why do you say that?
Because you've got fathers otabanali
Yes.
the mother.
Sure.
And the kid suffers because the father cannot go out
Yes.
peacefully and amicably.
Sure.
And also children are now being weaponized.
Sure.
Because the only way for these people to divorce or to go separate ways now, it has to be war.
Yeah.
But it does not have to
which
be.
is ugly. And so now to go back to the thing you were saying, that's why marriage is such a higher call. It seems very easy for us as men to naturally pick our children. Why? Because our children are never going to hold us accountable. Our children are never going to be the people who call us to become the kind of men that we're meant to be. Your child is not going to look at you in the face and say, you're a diamond that's flopping right now. This is the kind of man that you're meant to be. But your wife will do that. Your wife will call you out. And so that's why marriage is a higher calling, because it forces everything in me to die. Everything in me does not necessarily have to die when I look at my kid. I can easily fool my kid that I'm becoming the dad that I'm meant to be, because there's many other things financially that I could pull off. I could take her on holidays. I could buy her clothes, etc., etc. I cannot pull the wool over my wife's face. My wife will know the most intricate parts of who I am. She'll see my flaws. She will see my vulnerabilities, and she can either use those vulnerabilities to destroy the man that I'm becoming, or she can use those to champion me so that I can become the man that I'm actually going to be for her and our children. That's why marriage is a higher.
Do you know how many kids have suffered because they saw their parents becoming zombies within the marriage that did not work?
Yes.
Do you know how many couples says, after separating with this, I became a better father?
Yeah.
The quality of the father that I was. Outside of that enforced environment, I spent more quality time with my kids. There are wounds that our kids carry within the forced environments.
Sure.
Where our parents don't want to be there.
No, that's fine. And saying that people don't want to be in marriage, that's a whole other argument. And I agree with you that if you get to a place where it's toxic, I'm fighting that we fix that, because of the benefits that come with a marriage that's actually healthy and thriving, not just for the couple, but the benefits that are there for the children themselves. Because the opposite is true. There's kids who come from parents who love each other, who care for each other, and how those kids are actually thriving far more than kids who come from broken situations.
No, when are you talking broken? And I'm not talking broken situation. I'm not talking broken situation. I'm saying you've got a kid. She comes to me.
Yes.
There's a mother.
Yeah.
She's even more richer. She can go to the mother and be happy. She can come to me. I'm fully committed into taking that responsibility as a parent. But my view is, okay, the guys, you know, a lot of guys, and I like your podcast a lot. When they come, you know, 95% of the men who cheat, they say they will never leave their partners. And even the guys, and that's why in the men's conference we need to be honest as men. But a lot of men are afraid to get there because there's no space to talk, to say, but is this marriage working? Can love flourish and commitment flourish outside of this? One example that I'm giving you to wrap up.
Yes.
I've seen people coming from Mafike. I'm from Mafike. Atsena mo taxing to Lephalale in Limpopo. They are not married, just love, that moment, taking risk and doing all that. But when we get there, people now, you say they change. And it now changes the course of why we met.
So again, I'm saying we should never frown upon the change. It's people who are then committed to the process of change. And divorce stats and the ugliness that we're speaking of is only evidence of how hard this thing is because of how it's supposed to make society flourish. Anything that's going to make South Africa great, anything that's going to make your family great, obviously will have great threat. If that thing is not supposed to be beneficial, it won't have great threat. Part of why I started this podcast is because I understand the value that comes from a family that flourishes because the father and the mother are actively healthy, loving each other, present in each other's lives with all the toughness that's there, but they're persevering. I've seen the flourishing of that. And so I'm saying if we can have more of that, then we'll definitely have a better society as opposed to having people, children, wives, husbands, and wives who are living in separate places. But if we come together, I think there's a lot of flourishing that could come from that. It is hard. And that's why we need to champion it. It is hard. That's why we need to press harder and fight for it because of the benefits that come from that, So, yeah.
Your parting shot?
Thank you for this, bro. That's my parting shot.
Blaque Nubon, honest brother. I've enjoyed this conversation with you. And please, you must come back and then talk about issues of marriage. And I'm happy that you approach with an open-mindedness, with no judgment, because it's the reality that we're facing. It's the first time actually in a podcast, in the episode where I look like we are debating, but they know. So I've really enjoyed it. Please, brother, come back and anyone watching the show, you've had Blaque Nubon. And we've asked questions. We don't have answers to the questions, but your cause is an important cause, brother.
Thank you.
These questions that I asked does not suggest that I'm dismissing. It's an important cause. So thank you very much. And maybe next time we'll talk about cheating in marriage. We'll talk about, something. We'll talk about polygamy, from that. So I've really enjoyed, brother. Thank you for coming to the show.
Thanks, brother.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's how we come to the end of our episode. If you love this episode, please make sure that you hit that subscribe button on YouTube. It is CMX Network. I am CMX. Kamako.